Greetings from the sub-ether. This is Alan, and it's time for another Color Basic Quickie. This time, I'm just going to write a little program instead of showing you something about BASIC. One of the very first programs I ever wrote in BASIC was probably the Guess the Random Number game. For instance, the computer would pick a random number, like 1 to 100. Then it would ask the user to make a guess. Then, if the user's guess was greater than the number, it would print too high and go back for another guess. If the guess was less than the number, then it would print too low and then go back for another guess. And if it got this far, you got it. So let's try it. I'm going to guess 50. That's too high. How about 30? That's too high. 10, too high. 5, too high. 1, too low. 2, 3, 4. There you go, I got it. Random number was 4. I thought it might be fun to reverse this process. What if the computer was starting out and it was going to guess a number between 1 and 100 and ask you if the number you're thinking of was higher or lower than what its guess was? So the way we're going to do this is when the computer asks you if you're too high or too low, if you say too low, then it's going to make that number that it just guessed the new high mark because it knows it's below that. And if you told it was too high, then it's going to make the guess it made the low mark. So I'm going to say the lowest guess is a 1, the highest guess is a 100. And as we ask these questions, those numbers will increase downward. They'll compact until it zeroes in on the number. So we're going to do this. We're going to say print, I guess your number is... And we're going to start off with this random number. And then we're going to ask the user, is this too high, low, or is it correct? We're going to, maybe we'll use N key string to ask for one key to be pressed. And then line 50, if the user says the number is too high, then we know that that guess is the new high mark because whatever I guessed was too high. So it has to be lower than that. And then our next number we're going to guess, what we're going to do is we're going to take the difference between the lowest value and the highest value and divide that by 2. So if the lowest is a 1 and the highest is a 100, our next guess needs to be 50. If that was too high and it's between 1 and 50, we'd make it 25. Now we do that by saying the new guess is going to be whatever the lowest guess is plus the difference between the high guess minus the low guess. That will then be divided by 2. Since that could also be an odd number that makes a 0.5, we want to do an integer to round it off. And we'll say the highest guess minus the lowest guess, that's our range, and divide that by 2. And now we have our new guess. But if the user said that was actually too low, then the low guess is going to be that. And then this logic is exactly the same, so I could probably put this somewhere else now that I type this in. And if a string, if the user says that was correct, then we print I knew it, and we end. And 80, we will maybe do a beep telling them we don't know what they typed, and we'll start. Okay, I'm thinking of the number 42. Computer thinks it's 71, that's too high. So I'm going to say high. Now it says 36, that's too low. 53 is too high. 44 is too high. 40 is too low. 42 is correct, and there we go. Now that's the computer picking the first guess being random. If we really wanted to do it right, the computer would start at 50. Right in the middle. And that way it'll always get to the answer faster than a random guess could be. I'm thinking of 42. 50 is too high. 25 is too low. 37 is too low. 43 is too high. 40 is too low. 41 is too low. And 42 is correct. So if you want to make the hardest number for the computer to guess this way, choose 49 or 51. I will choose 51. 50 is too low. 75 is too high, 62 is too high, 56 is too high, 53 is too high, 51 is correct. And there you go. The computer guessing the number, I'm going to call this program iGuess. And of course, if it had an apple on it, it would sell 1 million copies. So until next time, don't panic.